This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
Welcome back to Grit on the Rocks podcast. I feel like I hear like an echo. Do you hear me echoey?
Nah.
No? I feel like I sound an echo. All right. Anyway, welcome back to Grit on the Rocks podcast, where we make straight talk sometimes with whiskey and cigars and stuff.
We're short on whiskey on this side.
Yeah, today there's no whiskey for me. I mean, I was originally going to record an episode for Friday Fumas, even though I do like recording. I don't know why, it's stupid, because I can release it on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it to be genuinely on a Friday. You know, there's like a vibe to it. You had
like the ending of the week, you know?
That's exactly. Like you had a week hard at work or whatever, and you know, you're just relaxing, so the conversations are different. But being that today is unofficially Friday for me, that we'll have the next 2 days off, which is awesome. So I was going to record today, but then my friend was like, I don't know, you know, I'm going out, and, you know, maybe we can meet up afterwards. So I didn't want to be like in the air if you know, maybe or not. So we decided to do this episode, and yeah.
At least one of them is done.
Yeah. I have JR with me here today.
Up everyone.
And we are Grit on the Rocks podcast. Today we will be talking, right? We're going to be diving into what they call the Brotherhood Effect, right? Why every man needs a strong tribe. You know, for those of you
Hey, we need to blow off steam. We're the only ones who can count on.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what a tribe is, obviously we all know what, you know, American Indians or Native Americans, right? That's the correct way to say it now. Mm-hmm. You know, how they run in packs and stuff like that. And so in the business world, they talk a lot about tribes and how like mastermind groups become a person's tribe, and how when you surround yourself with these people, it can influence you positively or negatively. So, you know, that group of guys that keep you grounded, sometimes they roast you relentlessly, you know, but they also got your back. No questions asked. And, but before we continue, I have to do this.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and/or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah. So with that out the way, we do need to talk about the importance of brotherhood, right? And why every man needs a solid group of friends. I find that to be a bit difficult for people like us, in a way, in a sense of that. So some people, right, they're born somewhere, they're raised in that somewhere, and they stay in that somewhere. And sometimes they eventually move away as adults.
Right.
And you also have those who did all of that, but then they go to college, and they might go away for college and stay away for those 4 years of college, and they make a new life, new friends, new bonds, etc. So people like us, we moved, right? I was 10 when we first moved. So all those friends, even though I kept sort of contact with some of them, and I mean, years later, after social media came about and you're able to like locate them and whatnot, and then, sadly, one of my best friends growing up passed away like 2 years ago. And right after we had reconnected after all those years, I find I did a Google search and whatnot, and I mean, I look like a detective. It's like I found this information, and then that led me to a social media, and that social media led me to him. But anyway, but yeah, some people do grow up, right? They have the same friends. Like my wife has the same friends she's had since she was a kid. Friends that she, like, most of her friends, well, not all, but most of her friends is just friends that she grew up with. And these are women, obviously, nowadays, but these are women that they still get together. They still hang out. They still do things together. They've seen each other get married. They've seen each other have children. They're in each other's lives. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're each other's shoulder to cry out and whatnot.
So I mean, I still have friends that as a kid, like, especially like the ones I made in Puerto Rico, I still have contact with most of them, but it's not people that are in my everyday life. It's just people that now with social media we're able to connect. And some of them, I mean, they're all scattered everywhere. Hardly no one is in PR anymore, but we have some friends in Jersey. I have some friends that are in Florida. And so when I do visit these places, I try to find a way to like reconnect with them. So on today's show, we'll also have segments such as Whiskey Bar Wisdom. We have some Barstool Banter. We have Hero of the Day, where you, the listeners, are the stars of the show. And basically, that's our lineup for the show. But first, let's get a quick word from one of our supporters.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild, or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild, excellence forged in unity.
All right. So, like we were saying, right, we have to face the fact that every man needs a group of dudes, right?
Dude.
Who keep them accountable. I mean, I think that's important when you have friendships that keep you accountable for things and, make sure you're not doing like dumb shit. And I mean, that can go both ways, because I've tried, doesn't mean I've always succeeded, but I've always tried to be very, calculated when it comes to doing things.
Precise.
Not precise, because again, you fail. I mean, you're human.
Yeah.
But I try to be as calculated as possible. So with that said, I don't think I personally have had many situations where friends have had to like steer me. More I've been the person trying to steer of not doing dumb shit, right?
Yeah, I've been surrounded by people who just let me do whatever it is. They won't steer me the right way.
Yeah. So that's why,
They'll
like,
be
you
like,
have
"Well,
friends that keep you
that's on you."
accountable. And we all you have that band of quote unquote brothers that can make the difference between success and burnout, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like in my personal experience, I don't think I've had, I mean, I know a ton of people who just like, they don't measure their actions, therefore they don't measure the consequences. And again, I mean, I've been blessed to say that most of my life I've tried to be calculated and not had to be steered, and like, don't do dumb shit like train surfing. Where we see people doing that nowadays, and it's sad because you see these young kids getting killed, but it's like, did you not see the other 10 that died that way? Did you not?
I mean, Superman.
So
I don't care.
But in my personal experience, like during like one of my toughest moments in life, I've had a few friends, all right, aside from blood relatives, that were like brothers that, made sure I was safe during this difficult process. I was getting wasted, and, like I had, my youngest brother was my designated driver everywhere I went. He was like watching me like a hawk. But I did have friends that, made sure I was okay, and, telling me like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, maybe you should think of things this way or that way. So yes, we all need that, right? Basically my friends just made sure I wasn't like fucking around unsafely. So, when we look at wolves, that they run in wolf packs, right? And even know that they know that they can't just run solo, right? They work together, and we see whales that swim in pods and stuff like that. So, okay. So basically, yes, unless as men, right? So unless you stay in the exact same place, like we said earlier, and you grow up with these people, sometimes as men, it is harder for us in adulthood to make new friends.
Yeah, you won't find the same. It's way harder to find someone who's trustworthy and that's willing to, guide you or help you or whatever it is that you need.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It is hard. It's hard to find people that will share experiences, with you that you can share, because I mean, it's not only about hanging out, like people, when you're a kid, you look at friendship as, oh, let's play and let's hang out. And a teenager, like, let's hang out and go drinking. And, as you get adulthood. But as you get older, I think friendships has to do a lot with like consistency, right? As in the relationship, keeping each other accountable for, I mean, it could be a variety of things, but obviously accountable for what is positive, keeping accountable for your weight, your exercise, your fitness, keeping accountable if it's financially, like, oh, we want to do this, or goals, and, they keep you accountable. Like, listen, didn't you say you were going to do this or that? And, shit like that. So, regular check-ins, it doesn't have to be where you hanging out. Again, it could be check-ins, like, hey, a text, hey, what's going on? How you been? How's the family? Da, da, da. Like, that's what I'm saying. I do have old friends that were from PR, which I try to occasionally. I try to make it a habit to check in with people. Check in with my brothers, check in with my dad, check in with some of my friends. If I don't hear from them, but again, I always try every so often, like, hey, how you been? Hope the family's good. Da, da, da. Some of them answer, some of them don't. But at least I know I'm trying to be a good friend and, checking on people. Yeah. So, let's see. Examples. Sometimes all it takes is a Saturday beer run or cigars in the back porch to keep the connection strong. That is true. And again, as men, sometimes it is difficult to make new friends. Sometimes, I don't know. It's just weird, I guess, amongst men, and not every man. There's different personalities. There's men who are, hey, how are you? How are you doing? And they just become your best friend in the moment. But there's people like me who tend to be quiet, and then when I feel comfortable with you, then I talk, because I do like to talk. I like to have conversations. I like to have meaningful conversations, not just bullshit and talk about like, hey, so I don't know, music. What's going on in reggaeton? And that's a conversation I can have for like 2 minutes. But when we talk about life, those are the conversations I love, and which is why I've really enjoyed, like, when I got into the whole cigar culture, is because these are the types of conversations that happen. You're smoking a cigar. A cigar can take you an hour, 2 hours to just smoke one, depending how fast you smoke. And you have 2 hours to kill, and you're just, you have yourself a glass of whiskey, a pour of whiskey, because you're not filling up the glass,
Right.
Or a beer. And you light up your cigar and you just start talking, and you have conversations about life, about family, about your kids. And to me, that's one of the best therapy sessions I get. Anyway. So so there's always the guy, right? The guy who never texts back, which we just mentioned. Like we all have Fulanito the ghost, right, in the group. He's there in spirit, but good luck getting him to answer the phone. So the psychological benefits of having a support network. It says, on a real note, having a tribe reduces stress and keeps us from getting stuck in our own heads. Men who isolate are more likely to hit burnout. And I agree with that.
That is true.
Men who isolate, they hit burnout, and they also make a ton of like dumb decisions, I guess, because you're in your own head. And that can be dangerous, right?
The constant battle.
Yeah, because you don't know that. And this is why I say, like, I try to check in. Hey, what's going on? Da, 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 da. And if I know they're going through a difficult situation, I'll even hit them up with like, yo, if you ever want to talk, I'm all ears. Even if it's just to listen. Because I'm telling you, I've had moments where all I needed is just listen. That's it. I don't need no fake advice. I don't need the, hey, I know how you feel, even though you don't. Just listen. So sometimes when you're talking, not sometimes, most times when you're talking to someone who is, you're talking to someone that how can I put this? We're talking to someone who either has gone through it or is doing what you're doing or has experience. Those are the good ones to talk to because, again, they can probably teach you, show you, guide you through a different perspective. It doesn't mean you go off and do what they said, but you get a different perspective, and now you can sit with your own thoughts, with what they said, and you look at the pros and cons. It's like, maybe I should do this, or maybe I can do it this way. I was gonna do it anyway, but instead of doing it this way, I'll do it that way. So okay. This is burnout. Okay. Think about it like this. It's like trying to move a couch by yourself. You need at least 3 other guys to help, and one of them better be tall. Same goes for life. Don't try to lift it alone, right? I think that's something we can all agree with. But again, some men just want to be the macho man and I could do this by myself. And like we spoke in one of the, one of the previous episodes when I talked about masculinity, one of the examples that they say is that, men back then were more reserved. Basically, they kept everything inside because they couldn't show emotion. And I say, right, it's okay to show emotion. That doesn't mean you're an emotional person. There's a difference between, because I have to explain, because we're in a society where everything is the extreme. If I say we have to be stoic, we have to, as men, sometimes you got to just suck it up. Oh, so what are you saying? Men don't have emotions? Men cannot feel? Men cannot express themselves? That's not what I'm saying at all.
Men are more reserved on that.
But then you have the other extreme is, oh yeah, so we should show emotion. Then you have these fucking men crying in a pool. Have you seen that video?
Which one?
So there's a video. And this is what I'm saying when you're like, you push the boundaries to the overly sensitive. That I don't agree with. Like, fuck that. No. Be a fucking man. And I know some people will have an issue with me saying, be a fucking man. Oh, what does that mean? Does it mean that they cannot feel? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. So there's this like camp that basically men is like a retreat. And you pay thousands of dollars to be with men. And men show their emotions, talk about their emotions. They all get in a pool together in like tights.
No.
And then they cry and hold each other.
No,
Stop.
That's going overboard. That's going overboard.
See, that's no, fuck that. That's what I'm saying. That's the other extreme. You have the manly man who, oh, I gotta hold everything inside. I can't show emotion because I'm a man. And then you have the super sensitive weakling men.
Yeah, but
that cry in pools with other men.
Right. But there's also men that reserve their emotions, but not because they're saying they're men. It's because they're afraid of being, laughed at or, getting ragged on.
Because I'm a man, I'm gonna be laughed at. No, fuck that. Listen, I believe in a balance of both. I believe in the old time men. Straight face, stoic, suck it up, do what you gotta do. But I also believe in the new, I should be able to express myself without feeling shame. And then somewhere in the middle is me. Because I can't do the whole, I'm gonna get in a pool with men and cry in somebody's arms.
That's overboard.
Because they make themselves cry. It's not like something is happening at the moment and you can fucking cry. If something bad is happening, we've all cried. But you think I'm gonna sit? I'm channeling my inner child. I'm not doing that shit. Sorry. No, stop. But that's the other extreme. That's what I'm getting at.
That's nowadays. That's all there is millennial.
But I'm saying it's just the extreme. Everything has a calm, and you got to take it to the extreme, and it's just stop. So let's not be that guy who isolates himself like a grumpy hermit because his fantasy football team lost. We've all been there. Let's just say therapy isn't just for people whose hobbies include buying cats. Huh? So, again, I believe in showing emotion. If you gotta cry, who fucking cares? Doesn't matter. But if you're crying over nonsense and you're like tantruming as an adult man, shame on you. Exactly like they say here, because the fantasy football team lost, let's say. Stop. Grow up. Be a fucking man.
If a man watches a movie, one of those lovey-dovey movies, and they cry, which one are they?
Well, it depends. Because if it hits see, everyone reacts differently. I've said this before, not in this podcast, but I've said it before. I cried so hard, but I'm talking about like Like that in a movie is the stupidest thing in the world. It wasn't a lovey-dovey movie. It wasn't even really a sad movie. It was an action movie. The movie's called Mercury Rising. And that is with that kid from Full House, the real smart ass. I don't remember his name.
I don't remember his name.
And what's this guy from Die
Bruce
Hard?
Willis?
Bruce Willis. And the movie's about an autistic kid who can decipher word puzzles and finds like these government messages in there. And now they're trying to kill him because he discovered whatever. Nothing to do with sad. And it's just the way the kid acted, which was brilliant to me. Just, I don't know, man. It just touched the nerve. And I was on a date. And I had to like look to the corner and do the...
See, now you're trying to be one of those macho men. Yeah, you see? You didn't want to show your
that's what I'm saying.
emotions.
But, dude, you're on a date.
You were on a date. You had a blubber all over your girl.
You know, like, nah, fuck that. And I was like, it was bad because I kept saying, why the fuck am I crying? But I'll tell you about crying. Not a tear came down. No, I was crying.
Nah, I think the only movie that made me tear up like that a lot was The Passion of Christ. That was
yeah, that was
but that one basically got everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a strong movie to watch. All right, so now let's look at how to build and maintain meaningful male friendships, right? Because, as we said, building male friendships isn't like it used to be. You don't just walk onto the playground and ask, want to play, right? These days, maintaining friendships can feel like planning a military operation. Some tips are.
That precise. I don't think it's that like.
Huh?
I don't think it's that difficult, like you say that planning a military.
To make a man friend?
Yeah. It depends on which one you're looking for. You know, if you're looking for a meaningful one that will like guide you, help you.
It's not. I mean, friend is a friend. Just knowing somebody, that's different. Meeting people is easy. But a friend, that's what I'm saying, a friend that you can confide in, sit down and be like, hey.
That takes time.
Yeah. So some tips that they give here, right, to do like little get-togethers can be like a regular, low-pressure meetups like barbecues, poker nights, or just a quick beer. That I've done. Using technology to your advantage, like group chats, fantasy football leagues, which I'm not into, or even Zoom Hangouts, which that was a thing during COVID. I don't think people really do Zoom Hangouts. Like, hey, I mean, during COVID here, you were in PR, but COVID here, that's what everybody was doing. You couldn't go out.
Yeah,
you can see people.
They were doing it sort of over there.
So you were doing Zoom. I forgot there was another app that was called House Party. Yeah, and you would log in, and your friends would log in, and everybody's like bullshitting online, and But it was weird because that app, you would log on, create a group with people, but if one of your contacts on your phone, obviously if they're your contacts, they have your number, and they have the app, they can see, oh, JR is in a group. And they can just drop in. Hey, like, and then when you get on, you see all these weird people you don't know because you're not part of this group. It was just weird. So it faded away very quickly.
That's still around, but it's still not that way because right now everybody's still connecting, not through Zoom, but they're still connecting, but it's through video games.
Oh, yeah, well, that was way before.
All that group shit, just playing video games.
Yeah. I mean, that's been around before.
Exactly.
Like playing online and stuff. So it says that an example, right? We have a group chat. And let me tell you, it's 90% memes, 5% complaining about our wives, 5% real talk, and how we are secretly freaking out about getting older. That could be like a group type thing. I don't really do the whole group chat thing. I don't really, but it's like scheduling the meeting with Avengers. Good luck getting all your guys in one place at the same time. It's always can't tonight, got the kids, got to pick up the wife from spin class. So you're lucky if 2 of you can make it out to grab a beer. That's normal. That's usually in big groups. Again, since I moved here, it's not that I've been in big groups. But, at least at work, there are people that were co-workers and then have become friends of mine. And that's one of the main issues. It's like, hey, so let's do a happy hour. Oh, I can't today. And, then that person became me. I can't today. I got to do this. And then, now we have the baby. So it's like the whole schedule with the sitters is like, I can't make it. I got to get there before the sitter has to leave. But that's life. So,
Yeah.
So, psychological benefits of having a support network, right? Such as a brotherhood, friends. Says, on a serious note, having a strong brotherhood doesn't just help with career growth and fitness goals. It keeps you mentally healthy, because isolation is dangerous, fellas. We said that. You pardon me, that now I have my real notes. I was reading the wrong thing, so my notes are more complete here. So according to stats, right, men with strong social connections are less likely to suffer from depression and anxiety. I can see that to a certain point. Again, it all depends the type of friends you have. That's how I look at it, because if you have a group of friends and all your friends are always complaining and whining and crying and I hate life and this is so bad,
You want to pile onto that.
eventually either you start doing the same thing or you start taking their problems and it just makes your shoulders heavier and heavier. So instead of releasing weight, you're just adding more to it. So I don't see that as being less depression-y or anxiety,
Yeah.
So it's like, ever have one of those weeks where work is driving you nuts, the wife is giving you the cold shoulder, and the kids are being, kids. Sometimes all it takes is shooting the breeze with your boys to remind you, okay, it's not just me losing my mind, right? We all go through it. And that is true. Again, I go back to, I've never really, let me not say never. In years, I haven't been a person who works for Fridays. There's some people that hate their job so much and they just work just waiting for Friday. I am one of the blessed few that can say I love my job. But I've never really looked forward to Fridays because of that, because, I love my job. I mean, I like the Fridays. I get to spend time with my kids and my wife. I get to go out. Before we had the baby, we do date nights and stuff like that. But now I feel like I look forward, because sometimes you're so, especially here in New York City, you're so rush. You go to work, you come out, you got to go pick up your kids, and then you got to go home, and then, you guys got to get dinner together, and then, baby has to take a bath, and you might have homework, or you might have a podcast to record, or you might have, edit. I mean, I'm using myself as an example, but, I might have a podcast to edit, or a podcast to record, or a video to edit, or I might, have a client telling me like, hey, can you do this for me? And you have all this, and you're like, rush, run. Then Friday comes, and you're like, okay, I can sit, have a smoke, have a drink, and not worry about anything. And that's why I like recording the Friday Full Months on Friday, because this is just a conversation. I just put it to record, and whatever we say, whatever we talk about, that's what you guys listen to. So, but basically a poker night with the boys is cheaper than therapy. Less effective, maybe, but it is cheaper. Nowadays everybody wants to be in therapy. That is just the society we live in. I don't
You
know.
know,
I'm very iffy with the whole. What do you think about therapy?
to me, therapy up to a certain point because it's like having friends. You know, you talk to that person, you're able to let go of everything. But when they start telling you, here, drink this mad or do this and do that, that's where I draw the line. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's like finding a friend without having a friend. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well. You know, obviously you're paying this person to be your friend. So you're able to just let everything out.
Yeah.
And if they can, they'll give you some good advice or maybe not. You know, if not, they'll just be like, here, the prescription, you know, drink
Yeah.
this or do
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it all depends.
But that's yeah. I just like when it comes to therapy, obviously I do believe in therapy. I believe it helps exactly like you say to a certain point. I just feel that it's being so overused because you see people that don't really have like if you don't have I mean this is just me. I recommend everyone who is listening if you feel you need therapy to get through things, go for it.
Exactly.
Um
By all means.
I just feel like so at one point in my life I contemplate the only time I contemplated on getting therapy, I never did because I was able to get through it by talking to people. Because therapists sometimes all they do is listen,
That's it.
and all they try to do is give you ways to express yourself if you have trouble with that. I don't have that. But I just feel like it's become so overused. You see like these normal people that have sometimes these great lives. And it's like, oh no, no, my therapist, and I see my therapist. I'm going to therapy, and everybody's going to therapy. It's like, okay, what are you going to therapy for? No, I just talk through things. Okay,
You
see,
know,
I
go
can
for
do that
it.
with friends, or I mean, I am grateful that I have a wife that she's my best friend, and I'm able to sit with her and just this is what's going on in my head. Even if she doesn't agree with it, this is what's going on in my head. Now you know where I stand. And sometimes, again, just saying it, it works, man. Oh,
No, like I said, you're paying a friend.
yep.
You're paying to have a friend. That's all it is. Therapy.
So let me know in the comments, those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you have not subscribed yet. Now is a good time to subscribe to the channel. If you are listening to us via podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, now's a good time. Follow, share the show, leave us a review, leave us some stars. But for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I want to hear from you so you can send us, in the comments, if you've ever caught yourself slipping into isolation. And of those of you listening on podcasts, go to gritontherocks.com and just scroll down to the contact us section and shoot us an email. Or you can just email us at gritontherocks@gmail.com or info@gritontherocks.com, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you have ever caught yourself slipping into isolation, what snapped you out of it? Was it a group text? Was it a buddy dragging you out for a beer? Did your dog give you the dude you need to get help look?
The
Or
lick of your life.
simplemente, like I said, I did it by just talking. I would talk to my cousin. I would talk to my then girlfriend, now wife. Just talking, and all they did was listen and nod. That's it. But it helped. All right, so brotherhood isn't just important, it's the lifeline that keeps us from losing it. Personally, I can count the number of times my guys have pulled me back from the edge in a bad decision. No, I can't really. So, no, this is no good. All right, so now we can jump into some whiskey bar wisdom. Yeah, let's jump into that.
I would
Now
love
it's
to.
time for some whiskey bar wisdom. All right, there's nothing magical about it. Here, drink this. Tell me what's on your mind. Come on.
All right, so it is time for some whiskey bar wisdom, where you guys write to us your life dilemmas, and we offer some good old unprofessional advice or some
So
banter.
we're whoever writes, we're their tribe
Yeah, I mean, well,
in a way.
that's the presence of this podcast, right? You don't have a hangout if you if you smoke cigars or if you drink or whatever it is. You want to sit in a lounge, put on some headphones, and just hear conversations. That's what we're here for. Or if you just want to sit in your backyard and sip on a drink a beer, some whiskey, or whatever it is that you do. Also, or if you just want to sit, put on some headphones, listen to the podcast, or if you want to watch, you want to put us on your TV, you can do that too. I mean, that's what we're here for. So, yeah. All right. I feel like my notes are very scattered today, and I don't know why, because I went over this like a million times.
Shame on you.
So, is it, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I had some clients reach out to me, so I've been doing a lot of editing this week, and it's like trying to put this together and editing, and all right, so let's look at us. All right, okay, hey guys, name's Greg, and I'm writing to you from good old Boise, Idaho. I've hit that point in life where I'm not sure if I'm having a midlife crisis or just really bad case of indigestion. So here's the deal. I recently turned 42, and all of a sudden I've gotten the wild urge to buy a motorcycle. But here's the catch. I've never ridden a motorcycle in my life. I get nervous driving the lawnmower too fast, but for some reason, I think hopping on a 600-pound two-wheel death machine is a good idea. My wife naturally thinks I've lost my mind. She's already calling it my pre-divorce purchase. My buddies, they're 50-50. Half are egging me on, probably so that they can laugh at me when I inevitably crash. And the other half think I should get a convertible, grow a ponytail, and lean into the kitchen.
Wow.
So what do you think, man? Should I embrace the midlife madness and get the bike? Or should I stick to something faster or something safer like knitting? Looking forward to hearing from you guys. Greg from Boise, Idaho. P.S. My back's already sore from just thinking about sitting on that thing for more than 10 minutes.
Well, if his back is killing you, why he's even gonna try it?
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I fit the description. I already got the ponytail.
Yeah.
No,
that's another thing.
I know his feeling because I always wanted to get a bike. I love motorcycles. The only difference I did ride motorcycles, so I have a vague idea of how. But I just haven't had the money to get one. Or like him, his wife is complaining. My wife says also the same thing. He won't want me to get a bike because it's either too dangerous, and I'm a type of person. I respect the whole bike thing, but hey, it's like that. But to me, go ahead, try it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in my 40s, if I've never ridden a motorcycle, I don't think.
Yeah, but it's like there's some people that are really, let's say, a bucket list. Like just off the top of a bucket list. No matter how old you are, you want to do something at least once.
Oh yeah, I mean, one thing is
And
I
at
want to
least
get
it
out
out of
a
your
motorcycle,
system.
but buying a motorcycle
Well, then
that I've
unless
never
you have
done
a
in my
friend,
40s.
unless you have a friend that's willing to let you ride the bike, then the only way you're gonna be able to ride it is buying one, even if it's a cheap one. You know,
Yeah.
just to get it out of your system.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess me personally now at my age, I like motorcycles. I think they're pretty cool. I don't care to get on it. I value my I value myself too much at this point.
Well,
You know,
you just
I
got
think, and it's
careless.
not even it's not about me. I just think about like the amount of reckless drivers that are out there. Like living here in the city. If it's in the country, that's different. Like in the
Yeah,
country, you live in the country, I'd be like, listen, I'm all for it. Like get it, you know, right around your neighborhood for a bit, you know, get it out of your system. But like in the mindset of being here in the city, I don't care for a motorcycle at all. It's just I mean I did it in my 20s. Okay, got that out of my system. But if you've never done it, if you don't live in the city, then I mean go ahead, try it. But if you live in the city and you've never done it, I mean you're probably
yeah. I
gonna
think about
bust your ass like bad. So that's my 2 cents on
it.
that.
For me, just get a small one, try it out.
Yeah, listen, get a dirt bike. Get one of those,
Right, a small one.
you know, one of
Get one
those
of those mopeds.
mopeds. Yeah, just get it out of your
Get a
system.
moped. It's
Oh, you're on
safer.
2 wheels. Oh, look at me! I'm wearing a helmet. It's just, I don't know. Especially here in the city now, like, God, the amount of
Oh,
mopeds
boy.
now. This feels like
The
we're.
guy's from Boise, man. That sounds really
Yeah,
country. So
that's true.
yeah,
That's
go
true.
for it.
You know, you're in the country, you're in the stick somewhere. Go ahead, man. I mean, it can happen. You fall into one of these cornfields or something, and you'll be fine. But I
Brush it
wouldn't do
off.
it. So, yeah, basically, yeah, that's basically all the information that I found when it comes to friends. If I mean, we're not gonna get so technical, but you know, again, we all need, right? We all need that group of men, and this could be, it could be simply by, again, if you're like me, I do have trouble making friends sometimes. Um, I know people. I have people that I hang out with. That doesn't mean we're like friends like that. But friends like somebody that I can shoot a text like, "Hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 you know, what are you doing?" And oh, you know, shit like that. Oh, let's meet up. That's
Right.
friends. Like people that you only see, you know, you only hear from them once a year. You know, shit like that. Like, so but it can be for all you men out there now. It can be something as simple as joining a mastermind group, joining a social club, which is something that I'm looking into now. Um, you know, the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, that's what it is. It's a social club for men, you know, get together, even if it's right now it's on Facebook and you shoot each other memes or whatnot, but it's whatever content is shared there is on a positive note to uplift others. And that's how friendships can be formed that way. I mean, I think it's a good way, right? You know, we all know that our brothers, right? You know, not necessarily blood, but our brothers, they're like airbags, right? You hope you don't need them, but when life crashes into you, you're glad that they're there to soften the blow. And that is what friends are for me. Somebody I can count on. Hey, I'm going through this shit storm. All right, dude. This is what, you know, even if they're just telling me their story, that helps, man. That's therapy to me. So get yourself some man friends. Get yourself some dudes in your life.
What's the
You
difference?
know,
Get yourself some man friends or manly friends.
yeah. You know, You gotta have man friends. I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. Get yourself some guys that you can hang out with and just do man shit, you know? Go hunting, play golf. I don't know. Learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, shoot guns, drink, smoke together. Like, to me, I love that. Like, I have a friend now that like, you know, we've been talking about like going hunting and shit like that, and I want to make it happen. You know, that's my guy right now. That we can, huh? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's my guy right now that we want to do man shit together, and I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I like it. I like that type of friendship. Somebody that's, you know, into sort of the same thing. So that's cool. Like, we smoke cigars together. We drink whiskey together. We, you know, bullshit and talk. So I think we all need that. So with that said, let's jump quickly into some Barstool banter. For those of you who don't know, Barstool banter is where we read out your wild, hilarious, or just plain crazy stories. You sent us the email. Go to gritontherocks.com. Scroll down, contact us section, send us your story. We will pick 3 of the best ones, read them, and pick the one we like the best. All right? So let's jump into some Barstool banter.
Barstool Banter, brought to you by Buenos Dias Media, where great stories come to life. Welcome to Barstool Banter, the segment where your wildest, funniest, and most unforgettable stories take center stage. Whether it's that crazy night out with the guys, a hilarious encounter at the bar, a day out with the family, or an unforgettable moment with friends, we want to hear it all. Each week, we dive into your emails, share the best stories, and pick our favorite one, and who knows, maybe even win a prize. So grab a drink, light it up, pull up a stool, and let's get into some Barstool banter.
All right. So this is coming to us from Dallas, Texas. This was submitted through our Contact Us section of gritontherocks.com. Hey, fellas. It's Tom from Dallas, Texas. Got a story that'll make you cringe and laugh at the same time. So a couple of months back, I'm at the upscale bar downtown with my wife and some friends. You know, feeling like James Bond after a couple of drinks, thinking I'm slick. I spot this fancy bottle of scotch behind the bar and decide to impress everyone by ordering it. I even throw in the classic line, shaken, not stirred. Thought I was being clever until the bartender gives me a look like, what are you talking about? Turns out I was ordering a single malt that you're supposed to sip. But that's not even the worst part. As I turn around to deliver my Bond moment, I trip on the footrest. I trip on the footrest of the bar and spill half of the glass down my shirt. The night's mood went from James Bond to wet sock guy really quick. My wife, she never lets me live it down. She's been calling me 007% alcohol tolerance ever since. Needless to say, I stick to beer now. Cheers, Tom.
Wow.
Dallas, Texas.
His wife is never gonna let him down.
Shit. Trying to be cool, man, and shit.
See,
all right.
What you get? Trying to play that James Bond.
Yeah.
He went overboard with it. Huh? No, he went overboard with the chicken, not stirred.
Yeah. Cornball. So, all right. So this one was also sent to us through gritontherocks.com, contact us section. And this comes from Matt from Columbus, Ohio. It says, this is Matt from Columbus, Ohio. I have to tell you about this quote unquote fun night out my wife planned for us. So she tells me we're doing a bar crawl. But here's the kicker. She chooses all the bars. We start out at this place called the Velvet Unicorn. I kid you not. I walk in and it's full of neon glitter and an alarming number of guys who look like they belong in a boy band. I'm the only dude in there wearing a flannel shirt, feeling like a lumberjack at a pop concert. Then she pulls out these glow sticks and insists we join the dance floor. I'm 6 beers deep and figure, why not? I attempt to dance, but it's more like a fish out of water flailing about. The DJ even stopped the music to ask if I was okay. My wife thought it was hilarious, but let's just say I now have PTSD whenever I hear electronic dance music. Next time, I'm picking the bars. Later, Matt.
You know what? You know what picture came to my head just when he said about the glow sticks. You know the movie White Chicks, where Terry Crews is dancing.
Free. Yeah.
That's what I could imagine. Like this dude doing.
I just picture when he first said that he walked in a glitter. I don't know why. You remember what is it? The blue oyster.
When they got them leather chaps and whatnot. Basically, I thought that's what he was gonna say. You know,
yeah,
when
I
he
thought
said
so too.
the unicorn. I don't got nothing against it, but yeah. I thought it was gonna be a gay bar. You know.
Yeah. All right. So number 3 comes from Boston, Massachusetts. Says, here's a gem for Barstool Banter. So my wife and I are at this family-friendly bar/restaurant with our 5-year-old, Danny. It's a chill, low-key until a bachelorette party rolls in. You know the type. Matching shirts, loud laughter, the works. That's what in How I Met Your Mother, they call them woo girls. Because everything they say is, woo! So, okay, so they start blasting music and dancing, and little Danny is mesmerized. Next thing you know, he's out there busting moves with them. Like he's the star of Step Up 5, Toddler Edition. He's got spins, jumps, even some questionable twerking. The bachelorettes are loving it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there, a beer in hand, thinking, should I be proud or concerned? At one point, they hoist him up like Simba in The Lion King, and the whole place erupts in applause. Dude had more game that night than I've had in my entire life. The kicker, when we left, he told me, Dad, I think I'm ready for Vegas.
Oh my God.
I'm doomed. Cheers, Kyle.
Wow.
So
hard to say on that one.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. So which one you like best? Number 1, number 2, or number 3?
I go with number 2 because I can't get Terry Crews out of my head.
Yeah, I go with number 2 also. I like it. I mean, his delivery was pretty good. It was good.
But I
like
never heard that.
that
I never heard that expression, bar crawling.
Oh, that's chinchorreal. That's what we call it.
No, I get it. I just never heard it before.
Oh, yeah.
I think about bar crawling. It's like you're just wasting it from one bar to another. You're just crawling over there because you're so wasted. And, you're so drunk.
No, bar crawl is that when you go from bar to bar to bar. And
yeah, I've heard bar hopping.
Yeah,
that one I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that one, but bar crawling, I've heard.
Mm-hmm. So I also picked number 2. If I had a prize, I'd give you one, but I don't have one today.
So far, until
merchandise
comes in,
it's coming. All right, so let's to wrap this up, let's do the hero of the day that we have. It came in from Tampa, Florida. So let's do some hero of the day.
You're listening to Grit on the Rocks podcast, and it's time for Hero of the Day, the segment where we celebrate everyday acts of kindness and the unsung heroes among us. Whether it's lending a helping hand, going the extra mile for someone in need, or making a positive impact in your community, we're here to honor your good deeds. Each week we share an inspiring story from our listeners and recognize the hero behind it. So sit back, get inspired, and let's raise a glass to the heroes who make the world a better place.
All right, so all right, so you know what? All right, so this comes from Derek from Tampa, Florida. It says, all right, hey, Grit on the Rocks. I've got a little story for you for Hero of the Day segment. So last month, we had one of those classic Florida afternoon storms. Sideways rain, thunder, the whole deal. If you've been to Florida, you know what he's talking about. Them shits happen frequently. I thought PR was the only place where that happened, where mostly every afternoon it gets cloudy and rains. But Florida seems to, well, at least Orlando is the same thing. Like you
Orlando's like towards the tip of Florida, right?
Doesn't matter where it is. It rains. Like
No, that's what I'm
every
saying.
day.
Like,
It's at the center.
I'm
It's the center
guessing
of Florida.
far up north of Florida. I don't think that happens too constantly.
No, it's in the. It's like in the. I think Orlando's like the middle of Florida.
Okay, so then from there down.
But it's. I feel like every afternoon, every time I go over there, every afternoon, it gets. You got to do everything early, because once it's 2 or 3 o'clock, it starts getting cloudy. If you're in a pool, they take you out. If you're in a beach, they ask you to get out. If you're in a water park, they shut everything down. Once it gets really cloudy and once they see that first lightning, everybody out. So anyway, okay. I was driving home from work, just trying to make it through, when I noticed a woman pulled over on the side of the road trying to change a flat tire in the pouring rain. She was drenched and honestly struggling pretty bad with it. Now, I'm no mechanic, but I couldn't just drive by and leave her there. I pulled over, threw on my rain jacket, and jogged over to offer some help. Turns out she didn't have all the tools she needed, so I dug around in my trunk and got to work. We're talking about wrestling that spare tire on while water's coming down like a monsoon. Oof. It took about 20 minutes. We finally got her back on the road. She was so grateful, and I got back in my car completely soaked, but feeling pretty good about it. She offered to pay me, but I told her, you can't put a price on good karma. Just pay it forward next time. She smiled, and off she went. Again, I mean, usually everybody... I feel like this is like a common thing, because it's true. Sometimes these are simple things. So they usually say, like, nothing crazy, but, helping out, whatever. Try to get humbled, but, and usually people do try to pay you. I've had people here where you just open the door for them to help them with their groceries, and they're like taking out money. Like, I didn't do it for that. But anyway, huh?
Sometimes they see you as
look broke.
Maybe poor, broke, whatnot.
But so he says, yeah, you can. She smiled and she went off. Wasn't crazy heroic, but I like to think that I helped her out in a tough spot. Plus, it made me realize how easily it is to help someone when they really need it.
Yeah.
Thanks for reading, and keep up the great work with the show. Best, Derek from Tampa, Florida.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it does make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And listen,
it's like, It's like me, I did something simple not too long ago, this guy, this patient came out from the dialysis center, and his I think it was his daughter who came to pick him up. They always bring him out in the wheelchair because after dialysis, like every patient that comes out from there, it's
Yeah.
like totally weak, tired, and
Hmm.
sometimes they're dizzy. And they usually bring him out in a wheelchair. They'll sit him outside, and he was just waiting. And that guy got up and he went back totally. When I saw he went back, I ran out towards him and I helped him get up. And he's always been appreciative. He always tells me, "Thank you, for what you did." He did send me a postcard, and I didn't know from who it was. I was just sitting there waiting for my wife, and suddenly this young lady comes up to me and tells me, "Here you go." When I open it, it's $20. He tells me, "Eat breakfast on me." That's
Okay.
what he wrote, and I was like, "Wow," But I didn't recall who it was, and I dug in, looking around until I found out it was him. And I told him, I offered him the money back. He said, "No, this is for what you did." I'm like, "I'm good. I just do it to help, you know." So
Listen, sometimes it's the little things, man. The truth is, look, if we are blessed enough, we will all get old at one point,
yeah,
and we will need help, And this goes for, um, even though nowadays I've seen because I've experienced. Like I was brought up to be a gentleman, and if I see a elderly person, right, and I'm sitting like on the train, I usually get up, give them my seat. If I see a small child, if I see a woman, older
hmm
woman, if it's a young woman, she looks younger than me, fuck that, you standing. But if it's like an older woman, I mean, it all
or a
depends. Like
pregnant
I
woman.
see sometimes they have in their face, you can see that they're exhausted. If it's a pregnant woman, these are all things. But nowadays, I've experienced it a few times where I'll offer my seat and they look at me like I have two heads, because how dare I offer a seat to a woman? What am I trying to say? That the woman is weaker? That the woman can't stand? That the woman can't find the seat by herself? That's the type of look that they give you. And obviously, I mean, those are not my intentions. My intention is, again, I was raised to be a gentleman. You offer your seat,
Yeah, but yet if you don't offer it, look at this guy.
yeah, you'll have
The
somebody
nerve
saying,
of
look at
it.
this fucking asshole. Oh, he's some, because I've seen that too. You see these pregnant women, and there'll be somebody young just sitting there on their phone listening to music or whatever, and they won't even and how trains get here. When it's rush
Yeah,
hour, they're fucking packed, and you're
everybody wants to
standing, and
see.
this woman is like with a big belly here with a baby, and she's like getting pushed and shoved because nobody will offer a seat. So I mean, there's no winning basically. But it's happened. It's happened where I offer my seat and I get looked like they're insulted that I offered them the seat. So sadly, that's where we are nowadays. But I will keep being a gentleman. I mean, if you get offended by my kindness, I'm sorry. That's a you problem, not a me problem.
Hmm
So that has been our show where we talked about the importance of the brotherhood, right? The brotherhood effect, and why every man needs a tribe. You need people to talk to. We all need those outlets. I'm sorry, but we all need those outlets. Some time where you can sit and just shoot the shit, with guys. I'm not saying you can't have female friends or you can't do family gatherings. I do stuff with, my wife and her friends and their husbands and all that stuff. But, I know she needs her girl time where it's just the women, just like I need my guy time where it's just guys, and it's just guys being guys, even if it's just me and another guy. But it's two guys, being men, manly men. Yes.
Not these
So,
wispy men.
if not, I have like my work friends, and there are some that they like to meet up, and we'll do maybe an hour or two of happy hour, have a few beers, and just talk about life. The only problem I have when I do like a lot of when it's like gatherings amongst like coworkers and colleagues, it's like I feel like the conversation of work always finds its way into the conversation, and I'm actually trying to get away from work and topics that have to do with work. You know, because work is that's not my life. I mean, I get it. Some people that's what they do and they love it so much. I mean, I love it, but I don't love it that much. Now, you know, you get me on conversations about, you know, things that I'm interested in, and forget it. You gotta tell me to shut up because I'll keep talking. Sorry, but that's what I do. So, all right. So this has been Grit on the Rocks podcast. Thank you so much for those who are listening. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, I'm gonna look into that whole Rumble. Because I know that there will be episodes where we're just, you know, talking uncut, unfiltered, and YouTube tends to censor sometimes these things. Mm-hmm. So I might look into the whole Rumble thing to see how that works, and probably maybe open and just put the episodes also to be available there just in case. So if you have not followed, shared, reviewed the podcast, now was a good time to do so. Also, find us on social media, Grit on the Rocks. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm not sure, but I think I opened the TikTok. Dude, it's just so much to keep up with, man. It's just, I'm really trying to focus on on the show notes, my notes. I want it to be good. And I feel like I don't know why my notes today were all scrambled, because I remember fixing this and making it good. So a lot of it has been shooting off the brain, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you next week. Remember, Fridays, we have Grit on the Rocks Friday Fumas edition. Those are just straight up conversations. We'll probably say a quote and pick it apart. What does it mean to us? I don't know. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about religion. We'll talk about those deep philosophical conversations that you get into when you're like, you know, when you're in a whiskey lounge, or when you're in a cigar lounge, a whiskey bar, or when you're just at a regular bar, you know, when you're playing poker, or for those of you who indulge in weed, you know, when you're high and you get these philosophical, you know, conversations going, that's the type of conversations we have. So hope to see you Friday. Remember to drop us a comment. See you guys on the next episode.
Before you go, do you want to let the listeners know what's going to be up on the next episode?
So on the next one I think we're going to talk about flirting. I'm going to talk about the struggles of flirting and like disastrous pickup lines.
Wow.
I've really been working on that episode. So yeah, it should be really good. So yeah, stay tuned for next Tuesday. Yes, because that will drop on a Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll be talking about flirting and mainly about like disastrous pickup lines that should never exist and never be said, never repeated.
There's a lot of them in Spanish.
But yeah, wait for that on Grit on the Rocks podcast. Thank you again. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Keep supporting the show. Share with your friends. Like, comment, subscribe. Check you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Stay blessed.